Margaret Talia Lemons. I am the new lash tech in Southeast Missouri. I am the CEO of Sweet Lemons Beauty. Sweet Lemons Beauty is where you can come get dolled up while also being relaxed and comfortable. Please come check me out on my social media as Sweet Lemons Beauty. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Back again with another edition of Kicking It with Coach Webb. I have a very special guest, and I can't wait to get into learning more about this man and talk to him about Kennett and everything that's going on around here. Like I said, very special guest, Birdman himself, Officer Antony Weaver.
How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for coming on the
Thank
show.
you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Let's. I just want to get right into it. Tell us a little bit about when and where were you born at?
I was born right here. Born and raised in Missouri.
Kennett, Missouri.
Yeah, well, not a hospital anymore, but at that hospital that once was theirs, that's where I was born at. So I've been here all my life, all 32 years.
32 years, right there. So can't do the math. So what year were you born in?
87.
87. All right. So you're right in between me and my brother. I was 84 and he's 88. So that's cool. So I mean, how did you feel when that hospital got closed down? You were born there, Like what?
I mean, change is inevitable, So I understand change is gonna come, but it's just a big blow to a community like this one that's already losing so much.
It is, I know.
Businesses and stuff. So to lose that as well is just like, it's hard, but I believe we'll float until we make it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we'll float all along until we find an island to go, and we'll build back again. So I think right now they're actually in the process of getting one, and hopefully, God willing, we get one and we will be able to start anew. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get more into the childhood stuff. I mean, we'll get into hospital stuff later, but it's crazy because, like, we're a town this big and we serve, like, so much of the county and everything as well. Like, it blew my mind when they were like, yeah, we're going to get rid of the hospital. I was like, what in the world? But, in the end, I think it's probably all money anyways.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Money.
So hopefully we can get that going like you said. So, so your kid, you're Kennett born. Talk a little bit about when you were a little kid, like before, maybe before middle school, high school, when you were a little kid. What was that like? What were you doing?
It was good, man. I was the only boy of five, or I had 5 sisters, and I was the only boy in the house.
Were you the youngest or oldest?
The middle.
The middle.
Right in the
Lord.
middle. In the middle.
Yeah.
And I was the only boy, so I mean, like, Kennett was back then. It was a wonderful place. You could actually have your kids leave that neighborhood and go somewhere else and not worry about all the violence and drug activity that plague us today. So it was nice, man. We would summertime vibe, man. We would go out in the ditches out here. Me and my friends would go out and turtle hunt and snake hunt. Like I'm a big animal lover, so like that's what we did. We would back in the day we had bike trails, and we would go to the bike trails. We would go to the ditches and we would hunt turtles and hunt snakes all day long. We come at night. We would go. One of my friends, we built a makeshift little pen that we put turtles and snakes in.
Oh my God.
We had, and I don't know, we don't even know what type of snakes they were, at the time. Now we know, but at the time I didn't know what it was, just a black snake. We had red air sliders, we just put them all in there. We had maybe 20 snakes, 20 turtles.
Oh my God.
They all died clean feeding them. That's the bad part. We didn't know how to take care of them at the time, but I mean, that was our mission every day. We get up early in the morning, 6 o'clock, go down to one of my friend's houses, a guy named Eric Smith. We go down his house. We get on our bikes, we head to the trails, we go to the ditches, and we go all day just being there, looking for turtles and snakes all day long.
That's cool.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
I don't guess nobody got bit by like no poison snakes or anything?
No, we didn't. We had a run in one time where we were out in the fields over here. Where Daniel Funeral Home is at?
Uh-huh.
It's fields back there, and we were at another guy's house, and copperhead was right there, a baby copperhead.
Oh, those are the worst.
Yeah.
They release all the
venom. Yeah. So. It was right there, and just luckily we saw it, and it was ready to strike. He was ready to strike, and so the guy's dad came down and he killed it for us. And so,
Yeah.
y'all are crazy. That was coming. We like, oh, we didn't know. It
Oh my
was
God.
a snake. So, but yeah, that was the one time that we had to run in with a venomous snake. But we did have Eric got bit by a snake, and he started trying to suck the venom out of his finger, and I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
it didn't work, but
Yeah.
it wasn't venomous, so he stayed alive, and we could, live and tell about it. So it was a good time.
That is a good time. So like when you were growing up, what neighborhoods you were growing up in around here?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Every minority in Kennett has grown up in either Conference Court, which is housing over here at the village, Conference Court, Astrakan, Dolph, Floyd, that area, Riggs, the Circle, or Miss Claire Drive.
Okay.
And then there's a place, I don't know if you're familiar with Color Town.
I mean, I've heard of, is it over there by that baseball field, kind of?
Yeah, that's that area right there.
Okay.
Like literally the Color Town, because for colored people, that's what it was for. That's
yeah.
what they call it. So if you are from Kenton, Missouri, you have lived, and you're black,
Yeah.
you have lived in that area. Like every one of us. Nobody I know from here has not lived there. Has not, you know, at some point or either was raised there. Like I didn't live there for, you know, I was maybe 5, 6 when I moved out of that, out of the Conference Corps. But I was, my childhood, my younger days, I was brought up in Conference Corps as a child.
Do you think that, like, how come, I mean, I know that there's a lot of it's housing or whatever, but like, do you think it, I mean, how come? Like, why do you think that was made that way, or it just kind of happened that way?
I think that obviously it is, it's made that way to some extent, but it's lack of knowledge, it's lack of resources, it's lack of opportunities,
Right.
it's a lot of things you can put in play to say, well, this is the reason why we got here.
Yeah.
But it's also easy, you know what I'm saying? It's free rent or $2 a month type rent. So,
yeah.
you know, it was meant to help, but it didn't turn out that way years after you started it. It was meant to help. It was. I believe it was meant to help at first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for mothers, single mothers, or young mothers who were trying to get on their feet, and you were supposed to move out of the hood. That's the whole goal, is to get here until you get on your feet and move out. Well, people realize that this is easy, and we're going to stay here. And so we start to, you know, bring our families up here, and then they bring their families up here, and now it's a territory, and this is my hood, and I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
And that's just the mentality. So I think that now it is more of that. Like, people, they live there, and they're happy to be there, and they want to be there.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem, is that people have not realized that it's not meant for you to stay here. It's meant for you to get on your feet and move on. So
Yeah.
It was meant for one thing. I think it turned to another. That's
Right.
pretty
That
much.
makes a lot of sense to me on that.
Yeah.
Like, interviewing some other people, when I was talking to them, we always talk about like role models and who you look at, who you model your behaviors after, and then you growing up, the different things that are like, you know, I talked to Jag before, and I was like, so if you have a kid and you take him to the grocery store to buy him some cereal, what kind of cereal are you going to buy your kid? And you're like, well, you're probably going to buy him the cereal that you liked the best when you were a kid. And like, just similar behavior patterns after that. So, you know, I'm glad you're here on the channel, because, I mean, I'm always looking for people who, everybody we've had on the channel has had a cool story to tell, you know. And I'm always looking for people that we can talk to and develop relationships with, that maybe have seen that and been like, you know, I don't want that. I want more for my life. And but I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I mean, if that's all you've seen, what are you probably going to do? The same thing. So I'm excited that we can talk more about these things. But anyways, before I get off on the tangent, I mean, I brought you here to talk, not me. But so snake catcher. So maybe let's maybe move into like the middle school, high school. So did you play sports here for Kennett?
I actually played soccer. I played soccer my whole life.
Okay.
I did not play soccer but 1 year in high school.
Okay.
My 9th grade year, going into my sophomore year, I broke my foot.
Okay.
Well, my 9th grade year, this is another story. I did not clean up the den, and my mom, she told me, you ain't playing soccer this year. Now, I didn't play soccer. I didn't play soccer since I was a little kid all the way up. You know, this is the big leagues to us, because
Right.
we don't have it in middle school, so all you have is traveling soccer, and you have regular season,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really that big of a deal, because you're not playing nobody. You're playing the same people you played all your life.
Yeah.
So, you know, we ready for this, and she's like, oh, you ain't playing. So then my 10th grade year, I broke my foot. It was still kind of, it was never right again. But anyway, so I never played. And then my senior year, I was like, man, I'm going to play regardless. I'm going to play regardless. So I was actually a starting goalie. And I never played goalie in my life. I was more of a midfield or a forward. That was my, and more of a forward, because that midfield was too much back and forth. But anyways, I played goalie, and it was fun. But I'm a drummer. I was on drum line, so like that was my thing. I was more musically. My father was a musician and still is, so like that was kind of the thing that moved me. Choir, band, I know nowadays these kids don't really, band is not cool. Back in my day, like that was the thing. Band, like that was big. Like I guess because drumline came out, so everybody was big.
Yeah.
So like that was the big thing. So everybody was in band. Like that was a good thing to use on the drumline. Obviously, use cool. Those were the cool guys. They were the drumline. So that was more of our thing. That's pretty much it. I played soccer, and band and choir, and I played basketball in middle school. But yeah, just kind of that wasn't my vibe. I didn't, so I let that go, and I really wasn't that active. I wasn't into the sports. I was more into like fashion and girls. Actually, that was my thing. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I like about Kennett is, like, man, the place allows you to be creative. Like, it doesn't shun away against those things. I mean, I've been to other places where, like, if you're maybe had your vibe with not wanting to do athletics as much and wanting to be more creative and do things like that, that might be frowned upon. But here, I think, I mean, I know it's not as cool with band, but like, hopefully we get back to some of that. But like, musical and all that stuff that we have, that's I like that about our school and our community. I think that's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I kind of got ahead of myself. When you were a little kid, did you have anybody you looked up to?
As a kid, like
Yeah.
what age?
Maybe just pre-middle school. Who when you were a kid? Who was kind of your biggest influence when you were a little kid? Who did you look at?
When I was in pre-middle school, it probably was a cartoon character. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, Cartoon Network used to air a segment of Tsunami. And so like from like 3 to like 5, like Dragon Ball Z would come on, Gundam Wing would come on, and so those were my things. And I was a big wrestler fan. Actually, it's crazy. Like The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Sting, Ultimate Warrior.
Sting,
like
man,
I'm way back before he was like, I'm talking about when he had the colorful mask.
Oh yeah,
on.
yeah, me too. That was my guy. Yeah.
So like I was big into that type of stuff, and so like I really didn't, there wasn't a person as a human being I think that I actually even noticed, because I was more into like things that weren't reality, weren't real.
Right.
Even though to me they were really real, but
that,
in that moment in time I really wasn't looking at somebody else like, oh, I want to look up to them. So it was more of cartoons and wrestling.
Okay. So I got excited. There's so many things I want to talk about, but so I kind of forgot one of my other questions I like to ask. So when you growing up, you talked about the sisters. Did was mom and dad with you, or just mom, or how did that work?
Crazy thing is, it's probably gonna blow your mind. So I have 5 sisters.
Okay.
My mother had 3 children. My dad had 4.
Okay.
So my mother and father, I lived with both my biological parents.
Okay.
But before they actually got married and we lived together, after I was born, they split up for a time. He had 2 other children, and then they got back together and got married. So I was the only one in the house that actually had both biological parents in the house.
Really?
Yeah. So it was
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy, but it's a blessing, because like I see how that affects other people, and like so it was a blessing to actually have both of my parents inside the household. So
That's pretty cool.
it's crazy. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so we'll move on. A couple more high school things before we move into some other stuff. So with high school, what kind of music were you listening to back then? I know you're on drumline, but if you would have had, I know me and you were just not quite iPods or whatever yet, but like
Actually, iPods.
Yeah. So when I'm
11th grade.
Okay.
iPods, yeah.
So who would you have had on your playlist back then?
John Legend. Kanye West is like my idol, so like I've always been a Kanye West fan. Crazy part is I never listened to rap when I was a kid. Like my sisters, actually, my younger sisters were listening to rap, and I was more into like singers, people who actually had, to me at that time, was talent. Like,
yeah.
If you can sing, like you just talking, because I didn't understand what they were talking about.
Right.
So as you get older, your mind expands. You realize that they actually have a story, and it's actually more than just jubba. Now today's time, it is jubba, but back then they were actually telling me a story. So once I kind of realized that like rap is actually a talent and it's actually special, I started listening to that, and like Kanye West, John Legend, Robin Thicke. I'm more of an R&B type guy. Like I like the songs and the way people sing and just like the lovers type stuff. That was my thing. So I listened to a lot of like singers, but like Justin Timberlake when he came out with Future Sex Love Sounds, like that was crazy. It was that blew my mind. So like all of that was my vibe. Like anything that was R&B, like you ask my friends, man, they would be mad because they come to my house and I would play a song over and over over. I mean, that's when what is it, TiVo? The DVR?
Yeah, DVR,
It
yeah.
just came out. So I'm DVRing and I would rewind it 1,000. They like, bro, like, turn this. I'm like, nah, we gonna listen to it again. Like, we get in the car, turn this. Nah, we gonna listen to it again in my car. So that was my vibe, more of R&B.
That's cool. It's kind of smooth.
Yeah, I like it smooth.
Yeah, that's cool. So when you're that age, high school, whatever, you had you had some friends. Are you still friends with those people today, or no?
Absolutely. That was I don't even call them friends, they're my brothers.
Yeah.
We've been together forever. And even in times of arguments and stuff, we've never strayed away from each other. And even though some of us, we went down totally different routes in life, that to me, it keeps you grounded, to keep those people around you, because those people knew you when, other people might have thought you were just a knucklehead or you weren't going to do anything in life or amount to anything. They were with you, so I keep them with me because they keep me grounded and let me know that, like, this is what's important. These are people who are really for me, because when I had $1, not even $1, he was here. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, oh, I know you. No, you don't. He knows me.
Right.
Like, you know of me. We're cool, but this is the person who really, he knows me for real. He can see my downfalls and my triumphs, and so those are the people I keep around me.
Yeah, that's cool. I like how that you're able to do that. Like, that's important. Like, I understand it. I got friends in my life that you grow up with, you may not see them. Like, for me, I moved away or whatever, so not just a kid, but like I lived in Northwest Missouri for like 11 years, and you kind of fall off or whatever. There's certain friends, man. If I see them, man, it'll be like
never skip the beat.
Yeah, and it's weird because I mean, like, hey man, I ain't seen you in 3 years, and then you just immediately, both people, you just pick right back up where you left off. I got my friend John, man. I hollered at him, and like nothing ever happened, man.
That's
Yeah,
real friendship.
that's
how
when you know
real
it.
friendship should be. Yeah.
That's when you know it, isn't it? All right, so you're in high school, you graduate. Where did you go after that? What'd you do?
No, this is crazy. I didn't do nothing.
Okay.
So, I think it's hard for a lot of kids. Most kids who come from good families are groomed. They know, like, this is what the steps are. We're gonna do this.
Right.
And though my parents, they were good parents, and we were, they were, tried to keep us on the right track. I was just one of those people, man. I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't want to do nothing at all. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to do nothing. I graduated, and probably for like a year and a half, I stayed at my dad's house and didn't do nothing. And so,
Was he still helping take care of you and stuff?
yeah, he was still like, literally, my wife she was my girlfriend at the time.
Uh-huh.
She literally bought me $1 burger and $1 fry every day. Because at one point my dad was like, hey, look, I'm not, you got to go get a job. Because I fake went to school for a couple of days. I lived where I lived at. I don't know if you know where Barton's is on the South Bypass.
Yeah.
It's a house directly behind it.
Okay.
So I lived right there. So at the time, the Rivers was right there where the little bowling,
Oh yeah,
golf is.
Yeah.
It was right there.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I got all my stuff. Yeah, I'm going to school right there. He coming home. He worked nights. And I would leave for a couple of hours, go hang out with my friends. Yeah, I would have school today. Didn't have school. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. So he was like, well, you gonna get a job? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go work. I even faked having a job. I worked the Subway for like 2 weeks. I would come in and put on the Subway shirt, walk in the door. Like, that's how lazy I was, honestly. So eventually, one of my aunts, she runs prom time, and she told me, she's like, come on. They call me Buck. My dad's side of the family calls me Bucks. Come on, Buck, let's go. And she got me and started helping me learn how to work, helping me learn how to realize that, like, you have to earn your keep. You have to earn, what you get. And if you're gonna get anything, you need to be able to say that you earned it, that you did what you need to do to get to this point, instead of just sitting around waiting for somebody to give you something. So she opened my eyes a lot, and my wife opened my eyes a lot, and my daddy yelled at me a lot, and it was crazy, but eventually we got it together.
Yeah. So I mean, it took all that. I don't know if you call it reprogramming or what, but we finally,
Figured it out.
You know what I think is crazy, and hear me out on this. Like you said, like, those kids are programmed. Maybe we're all programmed. I try to think like the whole point of this, kind of the thing that I am so intrigued with kids and people, is like, certain people, like, if a kid, like you said, those kids that are groomed to be successful, if they're successful, yeah, that's great. But, like, you were supposed to be successful. The ones that I'm like intrigued by are the ones who maybe were groomed in the wrong direction and still were successful. Like I think about my mom. My mom grew up in inner city St. Louis, like poverty, abuse, all these things. Like her ACE score would be through the roof, like, and yet somehow she freaking made it. Like she master's degree, did all kinds of like crisis therapist, all kinds of neat stuff. And like in my brain, like she was like, well, from a young age, she was like, well, you're going to go to college. So I never thought, it never occurred to me to not do that. But it was because she made it. But like, you know, people like my mom, you know, I'm like, okay, well, how do you make it in the face of all these other things and all this programming are telling you not to make it? You know, and that blows my mind. So I'm so intrigued by that. And I want to try to help get as many people to figure it out for themselves as we can, because it's kind of like an epidemic a little bit, you know.
It is,
And, you know, that's what I think. And I just want to, maybe, I'm hoping that some of this maybe could help some of that. At least maybe get some people some answers.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so through a lot of hard-headedness and a lot of people pushing you and prodding you along, you decided you were going to do something. So then what'd you do?
Actually, I worked at Hibbett Sports for, I think, 2 years, and that wasn't any money. Like, that was, like I like clothes, I like shoes, I like fashion. So,
Yeah.
like, that was enough to buy me a pair of shoes every 3 months. I could pay my phone bill. It was nice. It was a start. It was a nice starter. But my father worked at a factory at Monroe for ever. If I remember, he just retired actually a couple years ago. And so he was like, all right, boy, you come to work with me. Now, mind you, I tried to work for him twice. I skipped over that. I tried to go out there twice. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That was the worst. From a kid standpoint who has never really worked,
Yeah.
you have to be mentally prepared for that, and it's almost like you can't be. Like you just have to not want to quit. You know, I think sometimes it's I don't know if you know Nipsey Hussle, but when it's close, I never quit. I just never quit, and and so sometimes you just got to put that in your mind. I'm not gonna stop no matter what. Well, that's not my mindset. Oh, it's too hard. I ain't messing with it. I'd rather do something else. So the last time I was like, man, I want to make some money. I want to be able to do things. I like to go places. So I'm gonna stay. So I stayed up there for about 6 years, and it was just strained. It strained my body. It strained my mind, and there was no purpose in that. Right? Like, money was good, you know, but and everybody's different. To me, money means nothing.
Right. I'm like that.
I don't care how many, like, oh, he got $1 million. He worked his tail off for 25 years to get that.
It's just money.
Yeah. Me, I want a purpose, because if I have a purpose, it's not a job anymore. Okay, so I spoke one day to my wife about being a cop, because my father-in-law's a cop. So I was like, man, I don't think I'd be a cop. At the time, I was still doing foolish stuff, and I couldn't be a cop anyways.
Sure.
All right, but one day she came to me and she had some papers. She was like, here. Like, you know.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Like,
yeah.
What? I ain't trying to clear it. And we filled them out that night. And I thought about it. I was like, you know, whatever. You know, I don't have a criminal history. I should have had a criminal history.
Sure.
You know, I've been in places and around things I shouldn't have been. But, you know, God is obviously this is something that was meant to be. You know, and I believe that everything in life is meant to be. You know, so I turned it in, and you know, I passed, and the background check, and like, here you go. Even in that moment, I still was like, yeah, I don't know, you know, like, I don't know about this. And as I got there, and you know, and just started to learn about like laws and all the, you know, things, and this, I was like, man, this is really interesting. You know, like, even in the academy, I still didn't know how it would be out in the streets, because I've always been a person who, you know, cared about people and like, you know, genuinely cared about people. Like, I see something, I'm like, man, that's wrong, bro. I don't like that. I like that. Here, you $5, or whoever it was. So once I passed the academy and got to this, you know, to this place and got out here on the streets, it was something that was like, man, it filled me up. It filled my soul. It filled my spirit. And like, I would never trade it. Like, I tell people all the time, dreams change. Sometimes we don't even know what our dreams are. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we go out here and we're like, I want to be this. I want to be this so bad. And that wasn't meant for us. But the dream that you never even thought was a dream, you never even dreamed of it yourself, was meant for you. And once you get there, it's like, whoa, like, this is where I was supposed to be in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
So this is where I was supposed to be in the first place. I didn't know it, never would have thought of it. I tell people all the time, I wasn't supposed to be no cop. Like, that's not a cop. No, that's not me. Yet it is. So I'm glad that my wife, was able to, see that and was like, hey, I'm gonna push you a little bit, and I'm that type of person. Sometimes I need to be pushed. Matter of fact, a lot of times I need to be pushed. So she pushed me in the right direction, and she made it work, and here we are.
Yeah.
Almost 5 years later. So it's a great thing. I appreciate every person, and especially her who actually motivated me to say, look, go do something. Like she's a kindergarten teacher over there at Masterson, and
Oh yeah.
she's always been like very hardworking and driven. Like she wants something, she go get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of like, what comes. I'll let it go. Like, go with the flow, man. If it's supposed to be for me to come over here, she's like, no, I'm gonna go get it. So I was glad that she told me go get it instead of just sitting there and waiting for it to happen, because it never would have happened. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
That's cool, because like when my first year here, I worked at Masterson back when she was still doing SPED. I was a PE teacher there my first year in 2016, 17, and then after that I got to move to JAG, which is, it's like for me, it's like okay, like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I don't know why, but it just is, because I used to be a head football coach. I was head football coach. I was a head football coach when I was really young, like 23 years old. I was a head football coach. Like head football coach 23. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just thought. I know what I was thinking. I was like, I can do this. Like I've always been somebody that's like, I can do that. I don't know why. It just I feel like if it's there, I can do it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it's like you said, like and I thought I was doing all those things, and I thought that was my dream. And then I get into this JAG thing, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is my dream. And man, it's like you said, like for me, it would be weird to teach a regular class again. Because, like, I know you're teaching good quality things that kids need, but to go from what we've been teaching, like these skills and helping these kids they all have potential, but like I don't know, some of them just can't see it, and then getting them to see it, and then after you see them change and like evolve into who they're, closer to who they're really supposed to be, it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's different, man. It's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to go back. And my kids, all my kids, they love you. My JAG kids love you. They're like, oh yeah, that's it.
I probably dealt with him before.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Gave him a break, but I dealt with him before.
Yeah, they talked about, the thing that they said is that they know that you care about them. Like, it's just a thing. Like, they just know. I don't know if that's like a thing. I don't know how you know sometimes when people care about you, but you just do. Like a kid, one of my JAG kids, he wasn't even a JAG kid, he was just on the track team. He wrote me a letter one time because like he was actually in my credit recovery classes and things like that. And he was like, yeah, coach, just real recognizes real. And I think that's really true, because these kids, man, they know when somebody's faking them. It's just, and I've never heard a kid ever say the opposite, say that you weren't like real and you did care about it. Even the ones that maybe you had to get in trouble, like they still are like, yeah, okay, they got me.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, at least at least the ones I've dealt with.
Yeah, I would hope that was
Okay, so we got through the police stuff. Is there any more about your family maybe you want to talk about a little bit?
Yeah,
you got a wonderful family, man, for real.
I got some good. My family, they all. I'm blessed to have the people that I have in my life. Because I'm stubborn. I'm a foolish person. I promise you. Like, a lot of people like, oh my God, you. I'm like, look, you don't know me. Like, it took a lot of like shaking to get me to it's like a shake and bake. You gotta shake it, really. It should be a lot before they can bake me. And now we can eat. But my wife, she's a wonderful person. Her family, my in-laws, they're wonderful people. They've always, supported me and done things for me to get me where I want to be. And I appreciate that. I think that a lot of times people don't have the right backing to get where they need to go. And like you said about your JAG kids, like, they know you care about them, and there might be one or two teachers that are they have a couple favorites, but what about the ones that don't have anybody at all, and you look at them as like knuckleheads and stuff. Man, we need to support those children, because like it takes a village to raise a child. It truly does. And so once, like you said, real recognizes real. Once you find somebody who cares about you, even when you're in the wrong and they're disciplining you or they get on you, you take that because you know it's coming from a place of real, like they really care. It's a place it's not like they're trying to get you in trouble. It's not like they're trying to, do bad things to you. No, they really are trying to get you on the right track. And so you have to try to push that first before you can ever start trying to like, oh, you're gonna go to, here, I'm gonna take you over here to paddle you, and this is like, they'll never like you. I know they needed that. That might be what's needed to be, but like, try to understand this person first. We need to find understanding, and I think that's what, any type of family is like. They should understand you before anybody else, because that's who you're gonna fall back on when things get tough. When things
Right.
when the road gets bumpy, I'm falling back on them. So I hope that they understand me, which I know that my family does. But that's who I go to. Like my dad. My dad was a guy. He was he was a very smart man. He done a lot of things in life. He actually wrote a record and actually getting royalties. He got like a 97 check,
Really?
97-cent check. Like I still remember he got the 97 check. Someone took it and used the song over in England somewhere. Like he's a very intelligent guy and it's very like his words. He always used to speak and I used to always be like, man. And as I got older, I realized that everything he was telling me was true. And I think sometimes it just takes. You can plant a seed, and I think what our problem is as humans is that we think that we plant the seed, we water it, it's time for it to grow. And we get upset when it doesn't grow on our time. It's not on our time. That seed might grow 10 years later, but just be happy that you were the one who put that in that person. So I look at the kids, out here and I'm like, I'm not mad at you for making mistakes, bro. I made many mistakes. Okay, so I'm gonna let you make that mistake. I'm just hoping that the words I'm saying one day resonate in your soul and you're like, oh, let me do better. And I think even like with you and there's other people that I know, that are out here actually trying, like that we need more of us to come together to actually push that because that might be their family. You might be their family. You don't know if their mother is the only person they have and their relationship might be rocky. You might be the person that they listen to. You might be the person that they actually respect. So like it's good to have family. I'm glad that I have a family. Obviously I believe that, with your mom, how you speak highly of her, that she was somebody that you looked up to. Well, sometimes it's not blood related. Sometimes it's somebody else.
Right.
And I think that, you and I've talked to many people. I don't know if you know Judge Stillman. And I'm sure you
Oh yeah, I love Judge Spillman. Yeah.
Judge Stillman. I see people and I might not speak, I might not, I just watch you. I just watch you, how you go, and I watch who talks to you and how they, react to your presence. And I can tell you like, oh, he's a real one. He's one, that they really, and so I seen that with you a long time ago. Remember the first time you messaged me, like, hey, you want to go talk? And I seen how they talk to you. And I seen the pictures you had on Facebook, and it let me know like that they really enjoyed your presence because you actually cared about them. And so like I like that. I go off vibes. Like I'm a vibe person. Like man, you got a good vibe, I'm with you forever. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to be related to me by blood for me to vibe with you or for me to like believe in you or like want to see you succeed. Like I just want to see people prosper in this place. And so no, I'm not family with a lot of the people that I see every day, but I see them as family because I want all of us to win. I want all of us to be on the same level, and I think that it starts with us trying to become their family instead of looking like, well, where's his daddy or where's his mom? It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you are the voice that he needs, and so like I had a good family, but I don't. I think there's a lot of people who are family. I think a lot of people out there that have helped me out or like changed my view on things, and I think that's so. I love my family though, so just in case y'all watching this, I love y'all. I love y'all.
That's right. So let's talk some stuff. I got some questions about. I think that you can maybe help me understand more about this. Like you talking about like when people know you care about them, and then sometimes you have to discipline, sometimes you have to get them in trouble. And you're a police officer, so you probably see that every day. So like, how do we get these people to understand that? One, you care about them and you care about others, because obviously if people are doing things to hurt others, you gotta do your job. Like, how do we get people to understand that, sometimes that's what police officers are doing? I mean, like, you're a police officer, I don't know how to ask you, so I'm just gonna ask you. Like, you're a police officer and you're a black man. Like, in our country right now, it's crazy. You see those things. I don't know, I'm just sitting here watching, to be honest, and I don't know I don't know how to feel about it. What's your opinion on how we can fix this thing, or how people should feel? Because you're on both sides of this stuff, man.
It's, um,
Or even if there isn't sides, hell, I don't know. I'm just
there,
asking.
there are sides, and there are, you know, and the thing is, that's what has to be said. A conversation has to be brought up, but it has to be brought up between people who are trying to understand instead of getting their point across.
Yeah.
I think too much of this is going on, and not enough of silence and listening. If you, you know, truly put, I asked somebody this one time. I said, "Would you trade with me?" We work at the same place. We got the same job. My wife looks better, you know. But would you trade bodies with me as a black man? Honestly, he was like, no. I said, exactly. Why would you not do that? Like, tell me why. You know, and this is a conversation that he probably hadn't even been. You know, he wasn't ready for what I was coming. You know.
Yeah.
But as he started to realize, I'm like, bro, I'm not saying that you yourself are a racist or you're privileged, like, that you know of, but in reality, that's what it is. Like, the racism maybe not, but the privilege of being able to not be judged off your skin. There's going to be times where you go into a place and you get a job and the person you're going against is black, and I guarantee that skin color is going to be brought up somewhere in that interview. You know, like, you look around, as in your profession, you're a teacher, you're a coach. You got Fred Garman, you got Jack Walls. You got Roland Johnson for years.
Great guy.
But how many other black people have you seen in this area? I know that Miss Gooden was over there, but what is that? 4 to what? How many teachers is there in the?
There's a lot, yeah.
Exactly. There's 2 black cops, you know, and they say, well, you got to, man, I know a lot of people who would be a cop, but the thing with race is that once you decide the line is drawn, it's like, that is only for white people, and this is only for black people. And on both sides, we believe that. Like, black people, oh, I can't be a cop because I'm black. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
You know, if you want equality, and you want to be treated right, and you want somebody that looks like you to deal with you, the problem is that you're probably not gonna like what they say either. Because if you're wrong, you're wrong. You know, that's the problem. Is that, you know, people do things and they like, oh well, it's only because I'm black. No, it's not, bro. You broke the law. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not because you're black.
Right.
Now, on the other side, yeah, there's gonna be people who push things that they shouldn't have done, they shouldn't have said, they had no reason messing with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's because you're black. But we have to divide and make sure we know which one is which, because right now it's just kind of jumbled up together, and it kind of it smokes the room on what the real problem is.
Yeah.
And we don't need to have that. We need to be able to have people on both sides come and say, look, we're wrong for this, but y'all are wrong for this. All right, we admit that. But we're going to try to do this, but y'all need to try to do this. Okay, we'll admit that. Let's work together. But instead, you have people who are just going to yell and scream and like, oh, we're just, you're just because I'm black, or I'm doing this because you're a cop. Man, look, bro, I got a job to do like you got a job to do.
Yeah.
I'm a black man. I understand that there are cops who push what they should, and they shouldn't be cops.
Yeah.
And they should not be on, you know, on the force, and they shouldn't be out here, because the bottom line is my job is to serve and protect.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is like fun.
Yeah.
To chase the cars and to go get that's fun. My job is to patrol. I'm a patrolman. That's on my badge. I'm supposed to patrol your neighborhood and make sure that you and your kids are safe when I go by.
Right.
To make sure if you have any concerns, you stop me and say, hey, Officer Weaver, I seen a guy who looked a little strange, and I go over there and find out what he's doing. That's my job. My job is not to come out here and to see, 4 or 5 black guys, playing. And I'm like, hey, stop. Let me see. Let me tell you who you are. Ask me, what's your name? Where you at? Where you going? That's not my job. And so, like, that, it has become a part of our job, because I'm not going to lie to you, police work has become so much, it's like the bubble is filled. It went from, like, old day policing to now we are counselors, we are juvenile officers, we are, the list goes on to the calls you get, and if it's a call, you got to respond, right? So now my job is, like, expanded so much, and then on top of that, the way people view cops, it's making our job so much harder. So a lot of good cops are being looked at the same way that people of color don't want to be looked at for, like the criminal wise. Like, so, like, hey, I'm black. That don't mean I steal. You're right. It doesn't mean you steal.
Right.
This cop come, oh, they a dirty cop. That doesn't mean he a dirty cop, bro. Like, what do you saw something on TV and you relate that to him.
Yeah.
You know, and so he's a human being regardless of what you think. So, like, even though he's wearing that badge and he is a professional, he has feelings too. And, like, when you said that it triggered it right there. Yeah, you know, like, right then, like, what? You know, I'm a racist. I ain't even said that, you know, like, I haven't even said nothing,
right.
You know? Like, but it's just so much of, it's just lack of knowledge to me. I think people have not wanted to sit down and try to understand and to gather information the correct way. It's like hearsay. Somebody says something and they just run with it.
Yeah.
Well, this is, bro, you don't know this to be true. You're just saying this. Like, find out if this is true before you even speak, okay? And then on top of that, not just find out, try to put yourself in a situation and say, what I do.
Yeah.
And if the true answer is, I don't know, keep moving. You
right.
know? And a lot of times that's what it would be, like, I really don't know, you know,
right.
'cause I've never been in that situation. So, like, I think the race thing and the police thing, they're good subjects, but nobody's talking about them. We're not had it. Nobody wants to bring that up. Everybody's like,
yeah, they're scared to say it, or if they do, they want to argue with it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm trying to think, like, okay, so, like, so with this channel, you know, there's going to be people there's going to be white people in Nebraska and Kansas watching this, and there's going to be, I mean, just country people because I know them, you know, and then there's going to be, you know, I mean, there'll be black people watching this, you know, and so the other side that can, you know, whatever, the other side, the people who were just saying that all of these black people are acting bad and stuff, they're going to say, well, they break the law more than the other people. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that might be true. I don't know. I'm not getting into all that. What I'm saying is, doesn't it go back? Can't we not look at this, right? And see that, like, if we're programmed, and it ain't all white and black, but I'm saying, like, it's more, to me, I think it's more socioeconomic than it is necessarily skin color. Because if you look at, like, the people that are poor, single parent, you know, like, if you look at that, because, like, we went and toured the jail with Jack, and there was a lot of white guys in there, and we had a speech one year from a guy, and he's like, yeah, I've been in here, now my kid's coming in, and like, it's patterns, but, like, those people, the opposite, you know, the devil's advocate. I'm not saying I'm like that, because I'm not like that. I mean, surely we know each other well enough to know that I'm not like that. But what do you say to kind of debunk what they're saying? You know, like, what's the defense on that?
And like you said, it's more economic. But the thing is,
I mean, that's what I really do believe that. I mean, I believe that.
As you grow up, there's nurture and there's nature, right? And so as humans, we get a lot more nurture than people, like, than any other species of animal, because they're going off nature, you know, instinct alone.
Right.
So you're raised in a poverty-stricken area. You see this over and over and over, and then you become what you've seen.
Right.
And to the person who lives on the other side of the tracks, who went to school every day, had good grades, all this extra activity, extracurricular activity after school. You know, was a Girl Scout, Boy Scout, went to a good college and got all these degrees, and it's, you know, they don't understand what this person is going through. They can't fathom, you know, like, why this person will. If you seen your mom doing it, why would you do it?
Right.
Well, what did you do when you seen what your mom and dad
right.
did?
They're doing the same
You
thing.
did the exact same thing.
Except they're just doing positive things. Exactly. That's what they've seen.
Thing. So, like, to say that it's true, the thing is that obviously saying that more black people know, that's just more, like, I'm not gonna say they expose that better or it's more open, but it's a norm in the whole world. Like, you see movies, you see, you know, television shows that they depict this stuff. You know, like, if you go for Dexter, so probably most likely, I'm not sure,
fair
but
enough.
there's probably not a lot of colored people in that area, right?
Right.
So what you know from black people is you play football with them, basketball, sports, and what you see on TV.
Yeah.
And so what you see on TV is this guy with his pants hanging down, his bandana over there, and he just shot 2 people, right?
Right.
And so what do you believe it to be? Because you know nothing else. This is what you, and so that's what happens, and then people get mad with it. Like, they kill each other, they do this. There is a serious problem with black people in black on black crime. That's not, I'm not gonna ever say that that's not it, because that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
But systemic racism.
I mean, even here,
Yeah.
even in Kennett.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I feel bad for
it's
that.
worse than Kennett.
It's bad. It's
worse
getting
than
worse.
Kennett.
I was trying to, not to cut you off, but like I was trying to think I think like within about a mile or so radius of my house, there's been, like since I've been here, 5 or 6 murders, and I've been here 4 or 5 years, and 5 out of the 6 have been black on black.
Yeah.
And here in Kennett, you know, and I mean, I know the inside part of Kennett, you know, it feels like city sometimes, but we're still all considered, this is a rural area compared to like these big cities.
Yeah, it is.
And yet we're here in Kennett, Missouri, and so yeah, I just, like.
You're taking two people, you're taking
Man.
two sides, two people that believe or the way they move is the same way. So you're taking somebody like if it was you and a black man, the way you hold yourself is not the same way he holds himself. So if someone does something to you, I know you would protect yourself and your family,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna call the cops, you know, like, hey, this just happened.
Right.
For him, disrespect, or if he felt disrespected, or if he was, you know, he felt like he had to get his because he was broke, whatever, that's the life he lives. So when you take two people like him, they clash. You get them, you know, somebody dies, and it's like, well, they kill each other. Well, what it is that they're with each other all the time. They're around each other. So to him, because their mind is not expanded enough to like want anything more than what they have. Like that's where they're gonna go out. That's his enemy, you know.
Yeah.
Like the person across, you don't see like you don't go to Shelton Park Place and say some black guy just came over here and murdered. No, why? Because that's not. He's not. You know, they're not in the same area. They don't. You know, they're not related.
Yeah.
By anything right there. So yeah, you go to the projects and you say, you know, we're over here. They're related by not just proximity, but by everybody around, because all of us from this area know each other. We're either kin each other, kin to somebody, kin to somebody.
I know.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So like this person says this, it tumbles down, he gets to him.
Yeah.
He says something back, it tumbles down, it gets to him. In the streets, you know, like, hey, they're not gonna call the cops. We're gonna handle it ourselves.
Yeah.
So to the person out saying, well, black lives don't matter because black lives don't matter to black lives, that's a false narrative. That's not even close to being true, right? Because he doesn't speak for me. And for the millions of educated black people, or just black people who have decided to get out of that lifestyle and go in here and make an honest living for them and their family. They don't speak for us, right? I'm not saying I don't understand them, because I do.
Yeah.
And so they're what they go through is important, but I want you to understand it, because they can't tell you that. They don't know how to convey it in a way to where you're going to even pick it up. They don't, but there are people who do. So if I'm ever in a situation to where I can tell somebody, like, look, this is really how it is, I try to. Even though, you know, there might be black people like, oh, yeah, please, I don't mess with them. That's cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm here to help you. I'm trying to show somebody like that, bro, there's different ways to do this.
Yeah.
Like, success is not based off of a degree or $1 million or anything like that, bro. The success is what you want it to be. If you want it to be this, you decide what your success is. All I'm asking is you don't decide that success is killing somebody and end up in prison. All I'm asking is you don't decide success is selling drugs and you got a nice Tahoe on 24s, but you're living in the projects.
Yeah.
No, that to me, that's just the same slavery mentality that we've been, you know, going through for so many years. If anything, you should say, look, I want to get you out this hood. I want to put you in a house that we own. It's ours. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be ours, that nobody can tell me, oh, you can't have a dog. Or 2 cars can't be out here on this parking lot.
Yeah.
Or and this is real. If in the projects, you can't have a car on flat. A car can't be on flat in the parking spot in the projects. That's a real, like, they really.
So if they got a flat tire, they have to.
Yeah, they gotta get it fixed. So like in my house, I'll put all 4 of my tires on flat and I'll let it sit there, because guess what? That's my house and I own it. Nobody can tell me. And so that's the mentality that we need to try to, you know, to these kids, that they're looking up to people who are, it's a figment. It's almost like wrestling. It's almost like a, you know, because they look at it as the rappers do it, and this guy here, he got the jewelry, he got the cars, he's the next best thing.
Yeah.
What does he do to get that? Well, we already know. We know what he does. You know.
Right.
You know. So we're gonna go do what he do, and then I realize it's a fast life, but it's ultimately a mousetrap.
Yeah.
especially in like areas like this, bro. We know anybody who does anything, like you ain't getting away from nothing.
Yeah.
I know what you do.
Yeah.
So like I want them to understand that, like, bro, that's not the real vision. Like material things don't mean anything, right? If you want to get an education, get an education. If you want to get a job and just work a 9 to 5 and be one of those guys that's provide for them, go get that.
Yeah.
But at least do it honestly so that you don't ever have to wind up in a jail cell. Because once you get there, there's no coming back from that. And I know a lot of white people who won't understand that because they're not raised that way. And I don't fault them for that. Like when people say, I've seen people where they was like, you know, I shouldn't say I'm sorry for racism. No, I'm not asking you to say I'm sorry. I'm asking you to understand where I'm coming from.
Right.
In this race, we started, y'all were like 5 laps ahead of us before we even got started. You know what I'm saying? Like you talking about from the abolishment of slavery into 2020, and we're still not up to par. We're still not. It's not there. You know, you got a couple people. Well, this guy's, yes, one person. I want it to be equal.
Yeah.
I want to see this amount and this amount, and we can say that this is normal.
Yeah.
You know, because you see a black lawyer in Kenton, Missouri. What would you say? What? We got a black lawyer?
I don't know. Really? We got a black lawyer?
Anybody would say that.
Yeah.
So it's not normalized.
Yeah.
And it's not normalized because it's not normal to us. But if you go to a bigger city, this is normal stuff. You go to Atlanta, like, bro, this is everywhere. Like, this is not. So a lot of these people are just trapped in this box. We haven't opened our minds to see that this is possible. And if if we don't know it to be capable, we don't try for it. We don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Because what you see is like, bro, I'm going to be a football star, I'm going to be a track star in high school. I'm going to get out here, I'm going to get me a job, I'm cool. Like, that's cool if that's what you want. I'm not, you know, because maybe you're the only person in your family who ever got a job, you work at McDonald's with burgers before you're successful. I'm happy for you. Yeah. But I would hope that you say, I want to be able to live on my own 2 feet with no government assistance, without anything, and nobody being like, hey, you're going to do this because that, you know, your yard, you can't have a dog in your yard, it's been pooping in my yard. Well, bro, I pay $750 a month. I can have a dog in my yard. Yeah. If you're on your own house, you don't have to do that.
Right.
So we have to, I would hope that people would understand that it's just black people have not learned that because we didn't have a mother or a father or a grandmother who had that before. You know what I'm saying? When you come from it.
Those patterns, cycle we talked about.
We didn't have that. So, you know, like, when people look at it and they say, well, y'all do this, you black people do this. Yeah, we do, bro, but we don't know any better. Right. You know what I'm saying? There has to be somebody that says, hey, stand up, like, that's wrong. And there are you know, guys here that have tried and are not just trying, they're doing. We have guys like to see Fred Garman and Jack Walls and there's other guys that I've seen that have come up and to say, like, that's a good look because it's showing us that it's possible. Yeah. Now we have another one we can say, hey, you're capable of doing that, you want to do it, you know? Because before there was not. There was not a person to say, like, I want to be like him. Well, I growing up, I don't.
You want to be like who?
Yeah, like I was, you know, I'm just me. I didn't know what was going on. Right. But now they have that, and so to have that, I believe that things will start to change. I just hope that, like with the black and white, we realize that, man, we all one. There's no black and white, but we do need to have a discussion at the table and talk about it because there's a lot of hate and frustration on both sides. Because if I come to you and be like, you're racist, you like,
I'm mad at you if you did that. Yeah, it wouldn't be fair.
I'm not racist. What are you talking about?
Right.
And I'm just strictly saying it off because you're white. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't know how it feels to be, bro. This man might have went through more struggles than I went through. Sure. But because he's white, I believe his life has been easier. Yeah. That's not a true fact. That's not a good statement to even, we can't even make that argument because there's people who went through so many things that are white, that are rich, that are, you know, it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is that with black and white, the race was not started the same and we've not caught up yet. And so we need to try to stop and say, look, we understand this and we're going to help you learn how to get to where you want to be so that your family can get there. You know, like, you give a man a fish, you can feed him for the day. You teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. Yeah. I want to be fed for a lifetime. I don't want you to give me anything. I want you to show me how to get it myself. And I think a lot of times that, you know, we mess up.
I mean, maybe the programs are some of the ones, because like they were, instead of teaching people to fish, they were giving people to fish.
And that's Kenton, bro.
Yeah. And
Kenton, Missouri. That's what
tough.
we do.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like, you know, I'm sitting here looking at these things and trying to figure out how to word my questions and all these things with this, but you know, I don't know where we go I don't know where people go from here other than just, I don't know. Because like, there's like conversations, I guess, you know? You gotta have something in the middle.
That's all you can.
I mean, this wasn't hard. Me and you sit down here and we talk a little bit.
There's nothing you can do other than a conversation opens up everything.
Yeah.
How do you get a job? Conversation.
Yeah.
How do you get a first date? Conversation. You know, conversation rules the nation. I had a friend who used to always say that, and it's the truth.
Yeah.
A conversation can open up so many avenues of life. So talk. But I want to make sure I'm talking to someone who wants to understand my point of view, and I want to understand his point of view, not just, you know, I'm talking to a brick wall. Because as of now, I see so many Facebook posts about all these Trump or this, or police or this. And it's like, y'all are just, that's not going to help.
Right.
Until we actually sit down and say, if I was that person, how would I feel? If I was a white man and I knew I wasn't racist and, you know, I voted for Trump because I believe that, you know, what he's going for, I like that. Not because he's Trump and he's, you know, saying these crazy stuff and I believe that he don't like black people, or they believe he don't like black people, so I voted for him. You know, if we just had that conversation and sat down, it would be different. But instead, you're going to have your side, I'm going to have my side, and we're not going to try to agree. We're going to try to disagree. And I don't believe that you learn anything from not trying. If someone cannot change your point of view, I don't want them around me. I want people around me who actually change, who make me rethink what I thought. Like, well, that was correct. You might have a point. And I try to be around people like that. I try to be around people who like make me question what I feel. Yeah. Because if I ever, you know, if I stayed the same, and I'm sure if you say the same, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? As we get older, we evolve. And as we evolve, our views change. You know, the way we think changes. Yeah. And you need people around there constantly giving you that information for you to think and rethink and to say, let me reevaluate this, because maybe I wasn't right. Maybe I was wrong. And even in this interview and as we talk, it's going to be a point. I said, man, maybe I was wrong about that. 20 years later, I might watch it on YouTube and I'll be like,
what are we talking about, man?
That was stupid. So I think that there needs to be a conversation on the table, and there needs to be people who have influence, people, you know, not just celebrities, not just, but everyday people like us. Yeah. Everyday people who go out and serve their communities. They need to start having conversations amongst their community, you know, and trying to start to small, little by little, build this up. Because right now, we're just on Facebook using our Twitter fingers, and that's not going to get us nowhere.
So you feel like if we're going to make any real changes, it's going to have to start small and work its way.
Yeah, it's not going. You can't. Rome wasn't built in a day. So we're gonna.
I mean, I think I'm just going to plug it because I plug it every week on here. I think there needs to be more programs, maybe not more JAG, but more programs like that, because the model and the competencies and the things that they're trying to teach are those skills that you're talking about, conversation skills, interview skills, how to get jobs, I mean, for real, like, how about this one? How to express yourself, how to express your emotions in healthy ways. Like,
that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
We learned that in there. That's one of the lessons we teach, how to express yourself confidently. Yeah. In a way to where it is conveyed respectfully, and we can, you know, start that conversation. So it's crazy that you said that we teach that in 5th grade and you're teaching it in there. So it is crazy, but that's true.
More things that we can just help others. You know, I think I look at my life and I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like some of the things that I was taught growing up were not correct about race or about anything, you know, and you don't learn that until you open your mind and you go, well, wait a minute, this isn't right. I look at some of the parallels, like in my life, like there's certain things like food choice that we had growing up, or just different things in my life. Like my dad loved my dad. You know, there was times when he'd stay at our house, times he wouldn't stay at our house, you know, and he's always around for lots of things. We're hunting and fishing and stuff, but so there was lots of parallels with my life, you know, and we were kind of, I wouldn't say poverty, but we weren't really well off either, though. And so mom's working hard, always with my mom, you know, like, so there's parallels to things in my life that people say are black things, you know, and I would say that, you know, the stereotypical black thing, you know, that people talk about, you know, you hear about it from the other side. I would say that a lot of the things in my life paralleled, I mean, my dad is a role, whatever, but paralleled more what people say stereotypical black things, you know, in my own life.
The greatest thing is, a lot of their lives do too.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing, is that we're so much more alike than we are different.
Yes.
But what it is that if you get around people that agree with everything you say, you need to get away from them. I don't need to be around you.
Yeah.
If you don't question anything I say, all you're doing is feeding my ego.
Yeah.
And it's all that happens at that point is corruption comes down. And that's what's happened with this world, is that this group will not, you might not agree with everything, or you might find something and say, oh, that's really wrong, but because you should, yep, to everything else, you're going to say yeah to that too.
Right.
You know, say, oh, I'm just going to stay on this side because for the most part we agree. No, if it's wrong or if you don't agree with it, stand up and say, I don't agree with that. Or, hey, with black people, like you say in parallel, a lot of our lives, they are. I know a lot of white people who are their mother was a single mother, or they live with a stepfather. A lot of white people who parents, mother worked 2 jobs, or the same thing that I seen in my life.
I'm out there staying with my grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of that, but when you speak of race to the black person, that's not real, because the white person doesn't they don't tell you that. They don't let you know, and it's not their place, honestly. But it would be good to know, like, bro, I'm just like you. Like, you just bring that up and say, bro, I didn't have I had this too. I had to work for this too.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, well, for real, I didn't think that. I thought this big nice house, y'all came from, money and whatnot. Like, that's what they would have thought if you never said anything. But speaking up and telling them, like, no, bro, I had to work hard for to what I got. And then that's how you start. That's the conversation that needs to be started, and we need to try to push that forward, because it's not the programs. I know you said the programs, and I agree with you on the programs, but there's more people like you. There's more people who want to know and who really care.
Yeah, like Miss Melinda.
There's a lot of people who they're just doing a job. I seen something on. I'm very big on quotes, man. If I see a quote, like I'll automatically put it in my head and keep it. It said, "I'm not here to put in the hours. I'm here to put in the years." This is not something that's going to take. Well, my 10 hours are up, my 7 hours are up, my day is over.
Yeah.
This is going to be something that's for the long haul. And if you really want to make a change, you have to put in those hours, but not look at the hours, but look at the years. Because eventually you will start seeing things pop up. The seeds that you planted, you'll start seeing them pop up places. And that's what you need to do. And there needs to be people like that, like you, who actually care and want to know and want to be aware. Because most people don't. It's a job for them. It's a status.
Yeah.
And that's not just in Europe. That's in my field too. I have people on my side that it's a status to them. Like, I'm powerful. I'm a cop. I'm a human, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a man. That don't mean nothing to me, honestly.
Yeah.
If anything, I just want to help somebody, because
I'm
happy in my life, so I want to make them happy in theirs.
Serves on your it serves too.
It's your spirit.
Like the best leaders, I think, are a lot of times are the people who are willing to serve and help others. And I was thinking just I think some people need to understand that, like, wanting to help. I want to say this in 2 parts, because I want to say, like, if you teach at Kennett and you look at your kids and you look at maybe just why they're doing some of the decisions they're doing, white or black or whatever, and or just other schools. I mean, it ain't just Kennett. You look at those kids and you see where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing. If you don't care about that, then the problem's with you. Like, you got to see that these kids need some help. Now, the frustrating part, and I think what happens to a lot of teachers is this is still the first part. They'll try to help, and then they won't, like you said with the seed, they won't see it come up in time, and then they get frustrated. And there's so many different demands, just like with police officers, like you said, there's so many different things now. There's now even more this year with teaching, but there's that. But I think the most important thing people got to understand, and I'm just saying it, to help somebody who's black or white or whatever, if you're going to help somebody that's, I guess, on the opposite side of this stuff, which is, to me, it's dumb. Like, we're all just people, that's what I think. But to help somebody on the opposite side, just if you're white and you help somebody that's black, or if you're black and you help somebody that's white, it doesn't make you any less white or black. I mean, like, that is the thing that's crazy to me. Like, some people will, like, I can just think, like, we post this or whatever, and I don't care, but they're going to be like, look at this white dude caving these black dudes or whatever. But we're not. We're just talking.
We're just talking.
Equals.
As 2 men.
It's 2 men,
like,
man.
There's nothing.
I mean, it's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy to me that, and when you see that, like you said, like a certain job, you're like, oh, that's not for black people or whatever.
I've seen it, heard it, seen it all. So
yeah, so that's crazy. Well, I don't know if we got a lot accomplished, but I know that we had a good talk.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed getting to know you more. And I have two questions I have to ask you because I've asked everybody. One of them's silly, and one of them is something else. But the first question is, if you could have any superpower, what would your superpower be?
Mind reading.
Mind reading. All right.
Yeah.
You just want to know what people are really thinking.
Yeah, I just like, man, I just want to know.
Okay.
I want to be able to look at you, okay?
Yeah.
Just stay away from you.
Yeah,
I'm over here.
I'm over here.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, gosh, in your profession, boy, that would be helpful.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
is this dude fixing to get rough or not? You know.
Yeah, that's perfect. I need to know.
Yeah. We've had all kinds of them. Usually, fly so far has been the number one, but mind reading technically has been second, so that's pretty cool. And then last question, you know, we talk about kids coming from different backgrounds and trying to be successful in different things. You know, I deal with some kids that aren't coming from real negative backgrounds, just have some different things. What would you tell if you could say, if you had one thing, just one thing that you could tell kids or young adults that are fixing to go off in the world and figure out what the heck they're going to do? One thing. You only get one piece of advice to give them. What would you give them?
Live it up.
Live it up?
Hey, you gotta go out there and live, man, and that's the only way you are gonna find out. You're gonna fall on your face sometimes, and just live. Just let it go, you know. Go for what you want, and sometimes that might not be what you get, but it's life.
Yeah.
That's how it is for all of us, you know. So smile every day you got. And it's a beautiful day out there, just to be able to wake up. So live it up.
Live it up. Hey, that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
Birdman, I'm glad you came on this channel, man, and we're gonna have some fun.
I appreciate
I enjoyed it. Had a good talk with you, brother. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.